Hello. To kick off my channel, I thought it'd be fun to start out with some of the speed paints of my Tolkien Gen week pieces. For those of you who don't have Tumblr or just haven't seen it before, Tolkien Gen Week is a really cool event that promotes non-ship-based artwork, which there's definitely a lot of that in the Tolkien fandom. So it's really cool to get to see what people come up with other than that. So if you get a chance to go check that account out, it's pretty cool. So the prompt for day one was family, so I decided, of course, because it's what I always do, to do Maedhros, and also put him in with Nerdanel, who's his mom, of course. So for my Maedhros design for this piece, I decided to do what I do for the young adult phase of his life. So I kind of picture him. He just had a growth spurt, just got huge. He's got like long, really wavy, dark red hair that I think is kind of a combination of his mom's and his dad's, which is obviously black. So for Nerdanel, I chose a more tan skin tone, lighter curly hair. For this piece, something I thought I would do is change my line art style. In the past, I've always done black because, I don't know, that just seems like the default thing to do, but I thought maybe if I did a gray instead, it would have sort of a lighter feel to it, and maybe not be so harsh, which is a problem that I've had with my art in the past. Something else that I really like about this piece is I finally remembered his circlet. And I know in one of the texts Tolkien mentions that Maedhros has a copper circlet, and I finally added that to a drawing, and it's been forever. I had a really fun time with the hair in this piece. Maedhros is always fun, but I especially liked Nerdanel's hair. I just started with the flat red, and then I thought it would be cool, instead of adding the shading of the hair in the shading layer, I thought, what if I did it like directly on the hair to get the right color? And it just turned out so good. I'm so happy with how it looks, and it was really fun, and I'm totally doing that from now on. So for the background for this piece, my original idea was to have it in their house, like I was kind of picturing the inside with a big window or something, maybe overlooking Ecthelion, but I couldn't really find a reference picture I liked for it. So I chose one of like pillars on the beach, and because I really like the colors in it, so I think that worked out well. So the way I did shading and the colors in this piece, I chose colors from the background to do the shading, and I think that really made the piece come together. I'm really happy with this, and it motivated me to do all the rest of my pieces. So the second one, the prompt was Platonic, and I chose to do Glorfindel and Ecthelion. So the focuses in this piece, I really wanted to make sure their pose looked dynamic, make it look like they're interacting instead of just standing in the same space. And I really wanted their outfits to distinctly show that they have their own houses. had a pretty hard time coming up to do with Ecthelion's hair. I wanted it to be straight and long, but aside from that, I couldn't really figure out what to do with the top of his head. I didn't think bangs were really the way to go, because I think bangs tend to look better with wavier hair in my art style. So I finally kind of settled with just something pulled back. It's kind of hard to see, but I added a little twist along the side of his head and a few little pieces sticking out, but other than that, no bangs really. So the colors for Glorfindel's design were honestly really easy. I just did kind of a green-brown pattern, palette I mean, and the yellow flower, of course, which is his brand. And once again, this hair was so much fun to draw, and I'm really happy with how shiny it turned out. And I would totally love to revisit his design and draw his shiny, shiny hair again. So Ecthelion's design, I really wanted to focus on the water aspect of it, so I did that with the kind of gradient from the top of his tunic to the bottom, and then I added in some little swirls as if there's like a water pattern falling down the front of it. And I wanted to do the blue and gray tones also to contrast Glorfindel because he's super warm. The next step was to add the shiny layer, which I do that by adding a new layer and then alpha locking it, so I can put in the base color for the shiny and then put the highlights on it. And I found that works a lot better than just using the shading layer to do the shiny parts. So the background, of course, is Gondolin. I wanted to keep it simple but still show that they were in the city. They're both kind of under that archway. Not sure how well that turned out, but I think it still does what it's supposed to. I'm not super happy with this piece. It wasn't my favorite, but I'm still pretty pleased with the way it turned out. I think I did an okay job with doing a distinct design for each of them, and overall I like it. So day 3, the prompt was gray spaces, and I decided to do Eowyn and Aragorn because they kind of have a complicated relationship, because Aragorn obviously is in love with Arwen, but Eowyn kind of thinks that he is attractive, so kind of an odd relationship dynamic there. But I also wanted to focus on how they kind of interact platonically, so I thought they would be a good choice for day 3. So for this piece, I really wanted to emphasize the difference in age, because Aragorn is 87 during this time, and I think Eowyn's around 27, so I think that age gap plays a big role in how they see each other. So I did struggle with not giving Eowyn Olo eyes, that was kind of a challenge. And then Aragorn, I tried to make him older by adding more facial lines than I normally would and adding a little bit of gray in his hair. So for the background for this piece, I of course had to do Maedhros because I believe that's where they meet for the first time. And I just thought color-wise it would be really cool. I really struggled with Aragorn's colors, and that's because in the Peter Jackson reference, he wears pretty much all black, which does not translate very well in an art piece, so instead of doing that, I decided to just go with some darker tones, more in the green, grayish area. And I used a chainmail brush to do his sleeve, which may or may not be cheating, depending on how you look at it. Eowyn's design was a lot easier because I pretty much exactly copied the Peter Jackson version, but I think he did a really good job of portraying her accurately to the book, so I don't really have a problem with using that design. So I don't know if it's really noticeable, but I did actually lose part of my background because the app crashed, and little did I know that was only the beginning of that problem, but I think it looks okay even though it got deleted. Something else I didn't notice until after I posted this on Tumblr was like the line about like when they meet actually mentions that Eowyn was in the full light of the sun, so I think the theme worked out. I really like the way this turned out. I'm pretty happy, especially with the color scheme. Like, it's a little bit dark, but I think it really captures the atmosphere of Rohan pretty well, so I like it. For my last piece, oh boy, this one was a ride. I had a lot of problems with the background, and the reason that it's already drawn in is I started this project on the day 4, like actually day 4, and I worked my butt off for the background, and then Procreate crashed and I lost pretty much all of it. So I spent the rest of the evening just redoing that, and I decided I'd finish Tuor the next day, which ended up being a pretty good decision. I kind of had a hard time with his head angle in this. I wanted him to be looking at the waterfall, but like that kind of facing away profile view is really hard to draw, so I ended up just doing a profile, and I'm not totally happy with it, but I think it still came out mostly okay. And then for Tuor's design, I couldn't really decide what to do for his hair, which when I sketched him, aside from this, I ended up with Chad Tuor, so that's a ride. His outfit I kind of struggled with a little bit too. I started out by drawing that collar, but then I thought it would probably be better without the collar because, I don't know, to me that's a very elf thing to wear, and I can't see him being interested in wearing something like that, so I tried to change it to a cloak and kind of over just a big shirt, which hopefully doesn't look too much like a hoodie. For a while he just looked like a camp counselor or something, but I think I managed to fix that problem. The shading was kind of hard on this piece. I wanted him to look like he was underneath, like kind of inside of the cave area, and for some reason it was really hard to capture that, and it kind of ended up looking a little flat. But then once I kind of changed around the shading layers, I kind of got it the way I wanted it. And then it was looking a little dark to me, so I add some more shiny stuff here in a minute. And I think that kind of fixed the problem. After I looked at this for a while, it really grew on me. And I think this is a strong finish to Tolkien Gen Week for me. I was too burned out after this crazy project to try to do the other days, but I may do them at some point in the future. I haven't decided yet. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. It was really fun making this video, and I have a lot more ideas for future videos. I'm probably going to do more speed paints. I have some fun, kind of silly art projects in mind. I'd really like to do some character design, maybe some commentary, or even an animatic at some point I think would be really cool. Let me know what you'd like to see, and I am totally down for doing some of your ideas. You can find my art at Maedhros on Tumblr, Instagram, post about new videos and other fun stuff at Maedhros Art on Twitter, and if you want to support me, I'm Maedhros on Ko-fi as well. See you in the next one!